Hello viewers, welcome to our program on immigration and public affairs. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulwani, and once again we have with us attorney David Nachman.
Thank you, Michael.
David, welcome.
Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Now in today's programs we are to give you some bits and pieces of important information that we get from time to time, but it never reaches our viewers. So let's update them with what has been going on, advisories coming from the Immigration Service and other areas. So there was recently a memo we got from our association, American Immigration Lawyers Association, and they recently had a meeting with CBP. CBP is the Customs Border Protection Agency. When somebody comes at the port of entry, these officials are the ones that they decide to admit the person or not admit the person, give him a secondary inspection, or sometimes send them back right from the airport.
Michael, and maybe we just want to remind our viewers that the CBP officials were here on
Exactly,
TV Asia with us a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So the question that was raised is that the CBP officials told our association that get some information from people who were, how they were treated by the CBP officials, what were the kind of problems they encountered, that they were able to talk to a supervisor, was their problems ultimately resolved or not. And I know that many of the viewers from time to time might have got into the secondary inspection, or if they were treated uncourteously or improperly. Let us know. Give us the information when you travel, what happened, all that you can tell us, and we'll be more than happy to forward all that information to our association, so that in the next meeting with the CBP people, they can tell them, listen, these are the issues, these are the things that you should be correcting. David?
Yeah, well, actually, Michael, on that note, it's kind of interesting because I know that CIS has an Ombudsman Office, and that Ombudsman Office is a place where information can be brought if you have a complaint or you need something dislodged. There's actually a special form that we can submit to the Ombudsman. And just recently, ICE created a type of ombudsman where if you have issues with ICE, you can go, ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, so you can go to an ombudsman in the ICE office. I think that what CBP is doing is they're gearing up for the very same type of program, where what they're going to do is they're going to create an ombudsman program where there'll be a person where we can take our complaints or issues who might act and be able to help us there.
Ombudsman is my interesting subject. I wish someday, David and viewers, that the Congress, the government will create a position for ombudsman for the Department of State. Now you said USCIS has it, CBP has it,
that's right,
and ICE has it now, because the type of problems that happen at the American consulates abroad and other issues related to the Department of State is enormous. I mean, many people come and complain to us, and nothing much we can do, because right now they have the absolute complete authority and powers to make decisions sitting there, and even the Department of State is not willing to change anything or do anything about it unless there are legal issues.
Right.
Senators, congressmen, people think, oh, my brother was denied for a visa, I'm going to go to a congressman or senator, and they'll write a letter, and the consul is going to issue the visa. No, my friends, that's not going to happen, believe me. I would say I'm going beyond what I should be saying, but I have to say that.
No, it's actually, I'm glad that you said it, Michael, because it's very important, I think, for our viewers to understand, because they're probably confused, because they hear, well, wait, CIS has an ombudsman, and ICE now has one, and CBP is thinking about getting one, and DOS doesn't have one. They have this thing called LegalNet, where you send an amorphous email, and maybe you'll get a response. Well, the reason why is that this, folks, is called administrative law. Each administrative agency has their own body of law, and they all deal with things differently. What our hope is that if things are running smoothly in one particular agency, and that if they see that that's a good process, what they'll do is knock it off and use it as a template for other administrative agencies.
See, let me go a little bit on Section 214B. There the maximum denials are under Section 214B. Because some of the other denials they can overcome, birth certificate is missing, some document is needed, something has to be investigated. But when the immigration, the consular officer says 214B denied, he's saying, based upon the facts, I don't believe you are going to come back. And even I have seen some very strong good cases that really cannot be, should not be 214B. But who do you go to? There's no ombudsman who will look at the papers, who will look at the information, who can go and talk to the consuls or send an email or try to find out why exactly what this denied.
It's a very difficult agency to deal with.
Anyway. Yeah. So I'm hoping that someday there will be an ombudsman for the Department of State, so that people who are grievances or complaints or problems that they cannot solve by even going to, what happens, they go to a senator or congressman. Believe me, I can tell you the inside thing. All the consul posts have a computerized letter. We thank you very much for your inquiry. We interviewed your client thoroughly. Unfortunately, he found that he is not eligible. Said nothing much we can do about that. But if you have anything else we can do for you, please let us know. So that doesn't solve the problem. That's a very courteous, nice letter, but doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
And more than that, the congressman or senator is not going to cannot say that you have to issue the visa or please issue the visa. No, they cannot say that. The Congress, when they passed the law, Immigration Nationality Act, in which they said consular officers who are on the field only have the right, absolute right to make the determination.
Exactly.
Discretion.
Discretion. Yeah. Correct.
So now this is let me tell you something. I know you would not like this. Tomorrow, if they make this law and make ombudsman, and offer me the job as ombudsman, I'll leave you as a partner. I'll go and become ombudsman just for the sake of it.
That's not allowed.
Okay, so that's about the ombudsman. I'm sorry I got excited.
No, that's a very good, and I know that that's a very near and dear. That issue is near and dear to your heart because you were friends with the ombudsman who was in charge of the CIS, the very first ombudsman.
And I don't know much more than anybody else. That what happens at the American consulates abroad, and which cases we are even not able to. Lot of cases we do succeed in convincing. But some cases that they will, be very strict and they say no more review, no more changing our decision. That is final and goodbye.
Well, I think that what the ombudsman does, and in addition to obviously dealing with issues on a one-on-one basis, they also hold special meetings. They're called stakeholders meetings, where you can actually phone in and listen to the agendas and voice your concerns and voice your opinions as a member of the public. So if there's a particular issue that you would like to see the ombudsman deal with, you can call into these numbers. And again, what I would remind you to do is, if you would like to get the information about the ombudsman for any of these administrative agencies, our email address is on the screen. Please email us. We're more than happy to get that information to you.
I think it's time for a short break. And right after the break, we will discuss a little further on this. I have something in mind, but please stay tuned and we will be back. Welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking about a recommendation, suggestion that the government or the Congress should create a position of ombudsman for the Department of State. And in that connection, I want to add one more point before we go to other subjects. I personally think that most of the senators and congressmen will support this. You know why? Because they are frustrated when they take a constituent request, an important constituent who is a big supporter also, and they request the council or request the Department of State to review, and they don't. They're frustrated that we made the law, we are the congressmen, we are the legislature, and they don't want to listen to us.
Right.
So if there is a position of ombudsman created, good for them also. The senator's office, the congressman's office, then also can contact the ombudsman also.
Right. It's another conduit. And as you know, Michael, obviously the congressional offices, they have a different flow. As you know, I used to work for one of the state senators, and we had a different channel that we used to get to the various service centers and to get to the people in the administrative agencies. It's actually called congressional. So we have a special conduit that we use to get through. The problem, unfortunately, is, think about it, every single state has 2 senators, And each member, each senator has 2 or 3 staffers who are all trying to get at the same time. Right. So what ends up happening is that conduit very quickly becomes clogged up. So it's very difficult to use that conduit. So I think your idea of having an ombudsman who handles those issues for everyone would be a terrific way to unclog that drain.
And I'm not saying the abuse of the job of the ombudsman, because I know that a lot of people are those who are denials are correct. I mean, after all, an American consular officer are reviewing all the facts. It's not that every case they are denying is wrongly denied. It's not that so.
Right.
A few cases, right. But then in that whole lot, there are few cases which deserve a review, which deserve right. a reconsideration. And if you go back to the consul side, in our normal practice, there have been cases we have gone back to the consul and explained, and he understands that matter really should have been issued the visa, and they do that. But I'm saying that if giving this another venue, another way of contacting, or giving a little more power, let us put it this way, to the senators and congressmen also, to push the issue of their client and have the case reconsidered. I'm not saying the consular officer will have the senator or the congressman should be given authority or powers to tell the consul issue. I mean, you know that legally, technically speaking, even the President Obama cannot tell the consul, you issue. Because the law says it is the consular officer's decision.
Right.
However, they can ask them to review it. Now they don't do that, I mean, are factual cases.
Right.
So in a way, I think it will be a big achievement if we succeed in that. We'll keep on trying for that.
And I agree, Michael, and I think that one of the things, at least that we noticed when I was at the Vermont Service Center recently and we were meeting with the business directorate, we noticed that there were stakeholders from all over the country who flew in to meet with the directorate there, and everyone had the same problems. So imagine that you have the same people all over the country with the same issues, all flooding flooding these channels. If we have an ombudsman who can figure out what the big issues are and then take it right to the top, there's a possibility that we can get a better result and faster, rather than for all of these different channels to be clogged up. And that's, I think, where having one ombudsman who deals with all of the issues is quite valuable.
One other point I am making is that in the United States, the problems with the Immigration Service, there are denials. They have a venue to get a redress. They can file a motion to reconsider. They can file an appeal to a higher authority. The consular decisions are not subject to any appeals. There's no appeal, there's no review, you cannot even go to court. In the US, you have seen, we were just talking in our earlier program about the circuit court decisions on the derivative children.
And how they're different.
Right?
And how they're different.
Here, at least they have, in addition to the ombudsman, they have the administratively program under which they can ask the administration for appeals and motion, and they can also challenge in the court of law. So that's very important, that ombudsman, even more important to have on consular decisions on the Department of State than even here.
Absolutely, and I hope that they'll take their lesson from the value that's obviously being generated in the other administrative agencies and implement that sort of program. Michael, I
can talk the whole day about this, but let's move on to some other
I was going to say there are a couple of items that I'd just like to quickly cover for some of our viewers. One is, and obviously many of our viewers, you know that I like to talk about business immigration law because that's my sort of my favorite subject of immigration, although obviously family-based and asylum and all of these other areas are important. Business immigration happens to be sort of something I'm very interested in, and one of the things that deeply concerned me, I think I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago on TV Asia, was that a new LCA, a labor condition application, was being promulgated by the government for H-1Bs. And so I'm pleased to be able to let everyone know that that's been tabled, and we will not see a new LCA for probably well over a year from now. And the reason why is because there are a lot of issues regarding privacy. If you'll remember that I talked about the LCA having to actually list out the names of the individuals and information about individuals on those LCAs. The government has actually decided that because of privacy violations that they're going to table that and they're not moving forward with it. So that's some other good news for our viewers.
A piece of suggestion that came from the Immigration Service, they see that a lot of petitions that are filed, a lot of them are returned back because they don't have the supporting documents properly. they don't have
Yes.
the proper fee check filed with it, they are filed at a wrong place than what